Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to Carter Conversations. As most of you know, we are a group of villages along the Route 1 corridor, and we formed during COVID and have kept up the conversations on Zoom. So that allows people like Mady and David to come to us from when they're at the beach. So the villages that we work with are Hyattsville Aging in Place, University Park Helping Hands, College Park Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and Explorations on Aging in College Park. And we do monthly seminars, and I'll tell you about the September one as we end this one up. But we do every month with the exception of December, Carter, I think. But anyway, we'll continue to send the announcements out. And so today, as a preview to September being National Emergency Preparedness Month, and we wanted to do a topic on emergency preparedness. It didn't used to be quite the issue it is now, but as we have seen over the summer in our area with these flash floods and rains and tornadoes. Rasheed, when you and I grew up around here, we didn't have tornadoes. With all of this, I think it's really important to be prepared. So I'm delighted today to introduce Rasheed Plummer, who is the Senior Outreach Coordinator with Prince George's County Office of Homeland Security. And Rasheed has been in this field for about 20 years, starting back 20 years ago with the Red Cross and getting involved in the 9/11 attack after that occurred, when he worked to provide assistance to families and so forth. And then he came back to Prince George's County in a variety of roles, including social service, which, congratulations, Rasheed, nobody gets a job in what their field is anymore, so that really is good. And has moved, he's worked in the county with major fires and derechos and all kinds of local disasters, and then worked with, when we had COVID-19, he worked to do supply management and getting the vaccination sites set up, and I presume some education as well, Rasheed. And so now he's loaned to us for this hour. He's already doing something else in the county. He does lots of training sessions and tries to help people be prepared. And I think he will mention this, but it comes to mind that there is a survey that the county has that we will send out to you if you have not already gotten it. Very quick to do. You can do it in 3 minutes. But the county is trying to get some sort of assessment as to how prepared we as residents are. So I'm sure there will be a link in the chat to that, and then we can send it out as well. Anyway, Rasheed, welcome. We're delighted to have you and look forward to preparing for whatever the next doom and gloom is.
Right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me clearly? All right. Thank you all for allowing me to actually be be a part of the Corridor Conversations to share information in regards to better preparing yourself and your loved ones in the event of a potential disaster occurring. As we all know, no one looks for a disaster to happen, but we definitely want to be prepared in the event that one does occur. I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. It's about 15 slides. What I would ask is that we hold any questions until the end of the presentation, and we can address them all in the chat directly, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Is the presentation showing now? All right. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, you're sounding good.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Good afternoon. As stated, my name is Rasheed Plummer, and I am the current Senior Community Outreach Coordinator here at the Prince George's County Office of Homeland Security, Office of Emergency Management. As I stated, thank you all for giving me a modicum of your afternoon to share preparedness steps that you all can take to better prepare yourself and your loved ones in the event of a disaster potentially occurring. All right. The Office of Emergency Management. Most people may have not heard of the Office of Emergency Management, but the Office of Emergency Management coordinates the county's response to natural and man-made disasters. So OEM, which is the Office of Emergency Management, which is a division of the Prince George's County Office of Homeland Security, is responsible for emergency preparedness, coordination of response, and recovery activities, as well as mitigation planning within Prince George's County. The Office of Emergency Management is the county's liaison with local, state, and federal officials in all aspects of emergency management. So if you're interested in accessing additional preparedness information from the Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management, you can go to our website at www.princegeorgescountymaryland.md.gov. All right. And then you would actually go to the emergency management slide and it would actually share some of the actual PSAs that we've done, as well as webinars that can actually aid you all in being better prepared. So we're going to start with personal preparedness. All right. Personal preparedness ensures individual safety as well as resilience during emergencies or disasters. Individuals can respond effectively when disaster strikes by having a plan in place. All right, knowing evacuation routes as well as assembling emergency supplies and staying informed. Personal preparedness helps reduce panic as well as minimize harm, as well as increase the likelihood of a quicker recovery. It also supports the broader community by easing the strain on emergency services, allowing first responders to focus on the most critical needs. All right. Being personally prepared is vital to protecting yourself as well as those around you during an emergency. Why is it important to have a kit? Okay. In an emergency or a natural hazard, do you have supplies ready to go? And when I mean ready to go, I don't mean having to run around your house to collect these items from various points, but to actually have a kit that is already prepared and able to be grabbed within 5 minutes of an evacuation tone being actually sounded. All right. Preparedness means being equipped with the supplies you may need during an emergency or in a disaster. All right. You want to keep these supplies in an emergency kit within your home or to take with you in the case of an evacuation. So within that kit, you want to ensure that you have safe food, drinkable water, drinkable water and electricity may not be available for days or weeks, depending upon the actual scope of that disaster. As we saw during Hurricane Katrina, there was not any drinkable water, available in the New Orleans area once that actual levee broke and everything started actually becoming contaminated. So it was imperative that they actually were able to bring in potable water for those survivors that were actually in the affected region. And if I'm moving too fast, please don't hesitate to let me know to slow down. I have a tendency to speak pretty quickly. All right, now, this is when we're talking about what you would need for your actual emergency kit. All right, within that kit, as you can see, I have on listed upon the actual slide, you'll see water. When we say water, you would actually need probably about 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. Now, when we say 1 gallon, that makes it appear that kit is going to be pretty heavy, but they do have, they have bag water that you can purchase that will not be in like the gallon containers, which would make it the plastic gallon containers would not make it as heavy within your kit. You want to have at least 3 days supply of non-perishable food items within your kit. All right. You want to have a battery powered hand crank radio or a weather radio. And both, when I say or weather radio, I don't mean a a radio with that can play music and or a weather radio. I mean, a hand crank radio that can also provide you information on the, as a weather radio, giving you NOAA actual information. You want to have a flashlight as well as extra batteries. We know when we purchase our flashlight, it comes with batteries, but we do not know how long those have been in the package. And unfortunately, everything has an expiration date. And lastly, as I'm moving along, speaking about expiration date, your first aid kit. Unfortunately, everything within that first aid kit does have a shelf life, even to the actual alcohol swabs. They can actually lose their moisture, as well as the Band-Aids can lose their adhesiveness from too long of just being in that kit and not being utilized. So it not just to build a kit, but definitely ensure that you take time every year to rotate the stock within that kit. You want to have hygiene products within your kit, blankets and possible warm clothes. And I know that I don't have this listed, but you want to also ensure that you have closed-toe shoes within your kit. Regardless of what that disaster may be, you do not want, your toes actually exposed to whatever it may be. It could be a flood, it could be a fire, whatever that cause of that event is. You do not want your feet to actually be exposed to anything that's actually on the ground at that point in time. Also, battery-operated phone charger. Our phones generally contain just about all of the information that we need on a daily basis, or it can contain that information that we can actually store it either on the hard drive or of our phone, or we could possibly utilize the cloud storage to actually have information. But if we don't have electricity to charge that phone, all of that data is a moot point. So you want to have some way of actually charging your phone to ensure that you can access that information when the need presents itself. If you have pets, what we learned during Hurricane Katrina is that residents will not leave their home if their pets will not be accommodated. So with that, we have actually ensured that we do have pet-friendly disaster shelters within the county. But what we do ask from residents is that they have the information on their pet within their kit, including shot records. No volunteer or no staff person would want to actually have a work within the pet shelter and not know that they're dealing with a pet that possibly has rabies or hasn't had a rabies shot in a number of years. Medications. This is an imperative piece. Any individuals that have life-altering medications that they need to take daily, you would want to ensure that you at least have a 3 to 5 day supply of that medication within your kit. And the reason why I implore you to have a 3 to 5 day supply is depending upon the scope of the disaster. Pharmacies may not be readily available the following day. So you would, if there's any life-altering medication that is needed to be had, definitely ensure that you put a small cachet of at least 3 to 5 days of that supply within your kit, just to ensure that following that disaster that you will be able to sustain yourself while the infrastructure is being brought back online. All right. Now, everybody's kit, as you see, I have a listing. These are a listing of base items, but everyone's kit is going to be tailored for their household specific needs. If you have children, you're going to want to, small children, you're going to want to ensure that you have bottles, formula, diapers, and things of that nature. If they're infants, but if they're toddlers or even teenagers, you're going to want to ensure that you have something within that kit to take their mind off of the disaster itself, to allow not only for them to have some form of relief, but to also allow you to actually work towards the actual recovery. Because if not, I have children myself, and they'll be right there tugging on my pants leg, asking me, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? So we want to actually give them something to actually take their mind off of the event, to allow us to work towards the recovery, to get them back to a semblance of normalcy. All right. Any questions so far? All right. All right. We also want to talk about documents. I'm going to age myself here. I'm from the era of a fire safe. Okay, where everybody has a fire safe in their home. They put all their documents in their fire safe, and we generally keep that fire safe in the back of a closet. Most fire safes, if not all, have a temperature where they lose their durability. So even though it is a fire safe, it is not foolproof. So if temperature reaches a certain degree, that fire safe will most likely melt. So during a disaster, it's crucial to safeguard your insurance documents, including copies of policies, settlement letters, as well as denial letters, as they're essential for both insurance claims as well as potential FEMA assistance. FEMA requires documentation of insurance coverage and settlements or lack thereof to determine eligibility for disaster assistance. You'll need these documents to file claims with your insurance company as well and to prove the extent of damage and or loss. Insurance policies and related documents can serve as proof of ownership from your home, vehicles, as well as other valuable items. So insurance documents are part of your financial records, which are vital for reconstructing your life after a disaster. Now, as I mentioned a couple slides ago, the utilization of your phone to possibly keep copies of these documents and or a memory drive that you can plug into your computer. This will actually prevent you from having to lug all of these papers within that kit, which would weigh down your actual go kit or your emergency kit or your bug out bag, whichever term you wish to utilize. All right, now I want to talk about your vital records. As you just heard me talk about some of the different ways to actually keep those records, as well as some of the other records that you would want to have on hand. I'm just going to go over some of the main protection methods for vital records, okay? Okay, the main protection record is through duplication and dispersal, okay? Because paper copies are both fragile and easily misplaced, and they get to weigh down that kit. All right, so it is best for vital records to be duplicated digitally. So a simple solution, as I stated, is to scan them onto a network drive or a possible cloud storage within your phone. All right, you want to regularly back up your electronic records to an off-site location or cloud storage if at all possible. You also want to test your backup and recovery procedures to ensure they are functioning correctly and storing the actual data as you're loading it. All right, you also want to store your backup media in a secure off-site location. So that, and when they say offsite, that's what I'm referencing in regards to the cloud and things of that nature. So that's something that, regardless of where you are or what may transpire, that offsite location is not being tampered. So that data is still going to be stored safely. All right, now I'm going to talk about something that we tend to get away from when we stop going to work and going to school, and that's making a fire escape plan. All right. Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. All right. And with that being said, I would definitely love to know, and I'm just throwing it out there. Do any of you all on this call, and you don't have to answer, do you and your loved ones have an actual fire escape plan for your homes? All right. All of us have done fire drills at our place of business or even during our time in school. All right. There was always a fire drill conducted at the very least once a year to ensure that the employees and the students within those locations have knowledge of where to evacuate the building as well as a rally point outside of the building if the need presented itself. But we seldomly do that with our home life. Okay, we take for granted the fact that, I come home and I come in my front door, or I pull into my garage and I come in the garage door, and that's the way that I normally come and go. But during a potential disaster, that point of entry could be blocked. So it's imperative to have in place an actual alternate plan just in the event that you cannot utilize your main plan. All right. I'll move ahead. All right. Now we want to talk about getting involved. Okay. Similar to what you all are doing here. If we don't actually do our part to work with our community neighbors, our community groups and so forth to advocate for all of our community to be included and informed about the development of an actual disaster plan and or emergency planning within your community. Okay, so I would definitely always want to include our access and functional needs, um, population, and or our English speaking as a second language. Okay, because access and functional needs does not only encompass um, mobility, that also encompasses limited English proficiency. So we want to ensure that any individuals that may have any disabilities, be it developmental, intellectual, and or physical disabilities, have access to this information. And we're working with them to ensure that they have a plan in place. Also, any individuals that have chronic conditions, any chronic health conditions or any injuries. Sorry, I'm moving too swiftly. Sorry about that. Um, Also, we want to look at any other factors such as our older adults, our children, or pregnant individuals. We want to ensure that the plan is inclusive for all parties involved, and that it is a plan that all parties can actually actively participate in to ensure their own personal safety. All right. What you see on the slide here is just some of the ways that you can actually develop a contact list to ensure that your loved ones have knowledge of how to get in contact wherever they may be when a disaster occurs. Okay, so when a disaster strikes, your family might not be together. Okay, and communication channels might be down. If anyone recalls during 9/11, when 9/11 actually occurred, it was a difficulty utilizing your cell phones. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that there was a lot of cell phone traffic that was actually crowding the towers here. Okay, so it is important to plan how you contact one another and discuss how you will communicate in different disaster situations. So, when creating your family's communication plan, keep the following tips in mind. Before disaster, have a list of emergency contacts, be it fire, police, ambulance, etc., in your cell phone and near your home phone. All right. You want to agree on a family meeting place with your family members, both in your neighborhood as well as out of town, in case you cannot get in touch or are unable to go home following that actual event. All right. You also want to program in case of emergency numbers into your phone and family members' phones. That way, if someone is injured, emergency personnel can use these numbers to notify friends and family. Also, you want to prepare a family contact sheet with the names, addresses, and phone numbers of important contacts. Include of out-of-town contact for family members to get in touch with when they are unable to contact other family members. So often during disasters, it's easier to make long-distance calls than local calls. And interestingly enough, that was actually the case during 9/11 because due to the fact that our towers were crowded with so much traffic, you couldn't make a call locally. But if you decided to call, say, New Mexico, interesting enough, your call went through directly because they were not directly engaged in the actual disaster itself. So their phone towers were not receiving traffic that was blocking it up so that no one could get through. You also want to create a contact card, all right, for each member of the family. And they can keep these cards in a purse or wallet for children in their backpack. And on with these contact cards, you want them to include an emergency contact name and number, an out of contact name and number, a neighborhood meeting place, and any other important information that needs to be displayed or collected or known by that individual. You want to also be sure that every family member has emergency phone numbers and a cell phone. Teach children how and when to call 911 for help. I know when we were, again, aging myself, we used to always have Saturday morning cartoons. And on those Saturday morning cartoons, they always had something on there in regards to safety. Little brother, don't play with the power lines, come play with me, things of that nature. But we don't see those things actually readily available to children via the mass media. So it definitely falls upon, us as parents and family members to ensure that they have this information and they know what to do in the event of. Okay. Make sure that everyone in your family knows how to send a text message. All right, text can often get around network disruptions when phone calls cannot. Also, you want to subscribe to alert services. All right, many communities, including Prince George's County, have systems that will send out text messages and emails with the latest information during a disaster. All right, you can visit your local emergency management website to sign up for our Alert Prince George's system. Also, during a disaster, if you have a life-threatening emergency, call 911. Avoid making phone calls except in serious emergencies. Okay, if you must make a call, keep the conversation brief. For non-emergency communication, use text messages, email, and social media instead of making phone calls, only because you can actually touch a larger swath as well as you can. It's almost a surefire chance that you would get through with a social media message, interestingly enough, as opposed to a phone call or a text message when the actual towers are being blocked in because it's coming across the internet. As I mentioned earlier, too many phone calls can cause network congestion, meaning people in real life-threatening emergencies cannot get help. Okay? So also you want to keep your out-of-town contact updated on your location and condition during that disaster. Now we're going to talk about after a disaster. So after a disaster, you want to register yourself and your family members, and this is for most large-scale disasters. Red Cross actually sets up an American Red Cross website called the Safe and Well link. And with the Safe and Well link on that website, you can let friends and family members know you are safe, as well as you can update any contact information as needed. It was something that was widely utilized during Hurricane Katrina when you had family that a lot of family members went west, some went north, some went east, but they didn't know where everyone wound up at. So with the utilization of that Safe and Well website through American Red Cross, they were able to make contact with their families wherever they were. So as I just talked about Alert Prince George's, I know that everyone here has heard of an Amber Alert or a Silver Alert. But many of our Prince George's County residents have never heard of Alert Prince George's. So Alert Prince George's is a database that you can not only register to be notified about various types of events that are happening real time within Prince George's County, but you can also tailor the types of notifications you wish to receive. As I know that there are a number of different townships represented on this call. You can actually tailor the types of notifications all the way down to a zip code. So if you only want to know about traffic in Hyattsville, you can set it up to only receive notifications about traffic in Hyattsville. But if you have interest in Hyattsville and maybe you have a family member that also lives in Upper Marlboro, you can include that to receive those notifications as well. So you can receive as many notifications as you deem the need to, or you can hone it down so that you're only notified about one particular city and one particular type of event. But it's, again, information is power. We all know that you can listen to WTOP at the top of the morning for weather and at the bottom of the hour for traffic. But if you miss it, you got to wait till it comes back around. All right. So this actually allows you to have that information at your fingertips as it's coming in. So it's real-time data, even all the way down to weather notifications. So as the information comes into the NOAA system, we receive it and then we send it right back out through Alert Prince George's to everyone that has notated that they wish to receive information about weather. Right. Utility resources. As we've seen, we've had some storms come through this year. Luckily, they haven't knocked out a lot of power widespread throughout the county, but that has not always been the case. I heard someone mention earlier when we were discussing about the derecho that came through that actually had the county without power for possibly close to about a week, and in some places a little bit more. You're more than welcome to contact the county in regards to inquiries about utilities. But unless the emergency operations center here is activated, we would be contacting utility companies ourselves directly in order to get, real-time data. And the reason why I say unless it's activated, if our EOC is activated, which is our Emergency Operations Center, we would have a representative from said utility companies here. So we would actually have that real-time information. But when it's not activation, when we're called, we wound up calling the utility companies as well to find out what the status is. All right. But I just wanted to share with you all the actual contact for these utility companies as well. We're not telling you not to contact the county, but I just wanted to make sure that your toolbox had additional resources that could be utilized. All right. We're almost done our presentation, but I wanted to give you all some information about an app that Prince George's County has recently started utilizing. It's our Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management app. This app allows you various different resources at your fingertips, such as you can receive power outage maps for the county, emergency evacuation route information. You can receive push notifications about events transpiring within the county, as well as social media direct link to us, as well as you can also submit hazard reporting around the county. So if there's something that you see that is a direct hazard, there is a way to put that in via the app to us, and we will receive it. If it's something that OEM should respond to, we'll respond to it, and if not, we would field it to the actual responding agency. So it is a good tool to have. You can download it on Google Play or it's available on the App Store. And it is a free download. And when I say hazards, the types of hazards that I'm referencing are possibly like a down tree, power lines, things of that nature that could be cause a hazard or a danger to your neighbors or yourself. All right, this concludes my emergency preparedness presentation. I hope I didn't go through too swiftly, but I'm definitely available for any questions that we have at this moment. So I definitely would like to open the floor up, and hopefully that I can provide you all with some additional insight that maybe I didn't cover in the presentation.
There was a question if we'd be able to get a copy of the presentation to be able to share with people.
I believe I can do that. I'll just have to confirm with my supervisor, but I don't think that that would be a problem.
All right. And when that question came up, it was during the list of things for an emergency kit. And in the chat, I put a link to the preparedness resources website for the county, as well as a direct link to a bookmark that the county has that has a lot of the same info, and to the ready.gov/kit website, which has it as well.
And what we will also be doing, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. What we will also be doing, and I've spoken with Mary Ann about the possibility of sharing with the group our emergency preparedness guide. I have the number that you look for, Mary Ann. So we definitely, I have that number.
Thank you.
And the preparedness guide actually has not only a breakdown item for emergency kits, and I'm just looking to see if I have one readily available here at my desk. Yes, there it is right there. So the emergency preparedness guide goes over various different topics, including evacuation plans, emergency kits, severe weather, access and functional needs. And it also has information directly to register for our Alert Prince George's. But I can definitely, I'm working with Mary Ann now to bring over a pretty substantial cachet of the guys that can be dispersed amongst the community to actually get the message out. You know, so I mean, the more of us that know, the more of us that can be prepared.
Well, and just to let you know, everybody is invited to College Park Day, but that's essentially our distribution point initially, and that's October 18th, and it will be at the College Park Aviation Museum at those grounds. So, and we will have small little tote bags with information about emergency kits and also a few small emergency items in there, like flashlights and stuff like that. So, but then they will be available at other venues.
And definitely reach out to me if your township is interested. We may see if there's I have no problem sharing the information if the information is going into the hands of county residents, because it actually elevates our preparedness. Is the more that we get the message out, the more that we can actually ensure that residents are better prepared. So definitely, Marianne, if you would be so kind as to be the point of contact, and let me know from the various different townships that are represented here on the corridor conversations, and I would love to share the literature as we have it.
Fine. It's this flip chart thing is amazing. And I just wanted to add, I was really a good doobie after 9/11, and they said get an emergency kit together. Man, I had that thing nailed. And guess what? I never thought about it again until Rasheed came into the picture. So let me tell you, peanut butter does not keep for 20 years, nor does probably tuna fish does. And of course, your medications, if you're my case, they've increased, so you don't have the right stuff in there. Anyway, it's just, I think the importance of, as you just said, Rasheed, of reevaluating it and looking over it every year, because your insurance company changes, all
Mhm.
that stuff, and you think you're ready. But a lot of expired stuff I found useful, like an expired driver's license, an expired passport, stuff like that, to prove who you are.
Right. You can keep those because the picture of who you are is still the same, and they can still go and check that number to go
Yeah,
back to who you are. So some of that you can keep this out of date, information wise, in regards to you. But a
yeah.
lot of it, you definitely want to ensure that it's updated so that way, if need be, you can access it and actually assist yourself.
Rashid, do you recommend cash as well? That you
Yes,
just have a handful?
I definitely recommend having cash, and a lot of my statements come from experience and seeing from large scale disasters that have affected, you know, states and or regions. And during Katrina, the individuals that wound up being relocated to the national capital region could not access their banks. So they were here for maybe 2 to 3 months with no access to their direct funds. And they had to actually rely upon the resources from other agencies and things of that nature. And a lot of them are like, well, I have money, but I can't move towards my recovery because I cannot access my funds. So it is imperative that we at least keep, at least a small cachet. I'm not saying to have $600 to $1,000 or anything like that, but if you can, $200 goes a long way in a disaster scene. Okay, it really does, because a lot of people aren't trying to get rich, but if you have cash, that does allow you to move a little swifter.
And I just wanted to add that a lot of this stuff that you're doing for an emergency is also very helpful to your family should you be in, an accident. I have a neighbor whose son at age 48 was in an awful motorcycle accident, and they can't get to his bank account because nobody knows his passwords, nobody knew what his insurance was, et cetera, et cetera. So on your contact list, I think that's important. Once you get it together, it's important information to share.
And it's definitely, and I implore you all to work within the corridor conversations group to actually, elevate each other's preparedness level. Maybe work together to actually, conduct a day when you put together kits, or a day where we actually go over our evacuation plans. I
Mhm,
mean, I mean, iron sharpens iron. So it's working together to actually ensure that we are all in a better position.
mhm,
That
mhm.
actually goes to a question that was in the chat are there direct hands-on workshops where people can be helped in putting together the information?
So yes and no. And when I say yes and no, if you all actually were to organize something, sure, we would come out. But there isn't something that we have in stone that we actually present, only because it's generally done with the individual. You know what it is that you need and want. But I'll definitely come out and do a presentation on a kit, and I'll bring a kit and show you how to put one together. I do that all the time. Yeah, yeah, I do that all the time. But we don't have anything that's actually set in stone. It's more so of trial and error. The fact that I've been doing this for so long that I'm more comfortable with actually going over it hands-on. As well, we do have a direct training. How many of you all ever heard of our CERT training? It's our Community Emergency Response Team training. So in CERT training, they do a lot of hands-on, and that actually aids in the, I want to say, in the into going into that mindset of being better prepared and things that you could do for yourself and your loved ones. So the CERT training is a 2-day training where we go over various different aspects of emergency preparedness. And to just touch bases on some of them, we do fire suppression training. So we teach you the various different types of fires, the various different causes, the various different types of fire extinguishers to be utilized on those fires, as well as we set a fire and have you put it out.
Wow.
We also, so I mean, it's definitely hands-on. You said hands-on. We also, and within that training, we do utility shutoffs. So we actually teach everyone within the class the proper way to deactivate the utilities to their home. Unfortunately, a lot of, most people, you move into your house, the realtor shows you this is where your shutoff valve is, and you never go back to it. And you never until you have to. But we go through the process of teaching you how to deactivate your gas, your water, and your electric to your home, as well as we provide you with the tools to do so. Because as anyone that's on the call that has a gas coming to your home, you know that there's a specific tool that's needed to actually deactivate it. You can't just go out there with a personal wrench. There's a specific type of tool. But upon completion of that training, we do provide you with those tools. And the training is not it's not, you can take the training and receive the actual tools and the actual materials without saying or signing up to be a volunteer, because it is the CERT is a community emergency response team, but we don't mandate that you become a volunteer in order for you to be better prepared.
Great. Betty, you have your hand up with a question?
Yes, I do. Maybe more comment. I don't know what I got. I have been a CERT member, so I got that, and I know what we learned that I don't remember, but but I'm CERT. When I was more raising, and it's probably more the groups that are on this corridor conversation, and that's on the order of how we used to do legal workshops before the pandemic and all that, where you come with your stuff and someone sits there with you, like to upload your documents or to get the app on your phone. I'm looking at those kinds of workshops. Mr. Plummer, you were alluding to that, but I was going even further in our needs hands-on, beyond the kit.
So, and you're talking in regards to like documents and basically updating insurance information, things of that nature?
Your telephone, your whatever, the cloud.
So I would suggest, have you ever reached out to the Department of Family Services?
Not me.
I would definitely strongly suggest reaching out to the Department of Family Services. They have workshops on the different uses of the phones and things of that nature in regards to actually ensuring that our older residents have knowledge of the different attributes of the technology that they have at their fingertips. So I would definitely reach out to Department of Family Services in that regard.
And also, Betty, I would suggest AARP's Senior Planet. They have lots of information on that, and you don't necessarily have to be an ARP member to access it.
Now, all that, of course, very helpful, and yeah, we're very involved, ARP and so forth. But I hope somewhere in those two and any others, it's taking me to, don't just hand me some paper or something for
but
me
actually to have a workshop with.
Thank you.
Well, I know the Department of Family Services, they have recently moved to a new building off of Central Avenue. And I actually met with one of their representatives yesterday at a training that I was in. And she has been stating that they are looking into a number of different workshops, because I know that they had actually, at that new building, they have another senior community center that they've actually built. So I know that they are looking for workshops to actually fill in and have at that location, but I think that they've only been there for about 3 weeks, going 3 weeks to a month so far. But I know that it is coming. But
Very good.
definitely reach out to Department of Family Services in that regard. And if they don't have it, they always open for suggestions.
And we're good with suggestions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, Betty, because we do a number of things like that, and in College Park, and I know Hyattsville does it as well. So that's a really good suggestion. We'll try and get something actually on the ground, not by Zoom and stuff like that. I'm thinking that Good Neighbor Day might be a good approach to that. That's October 25th. In conjunction with the University of Maryland, they have a whole public health department, and I'm meeting actually with those people on Monday. I'll bring this up. It may be too soon to get it together for October 25th, but we in College Park, of course, use the students all the time, and they're just delightful and very willing to work with us. The intergenerational thing is phenomenal. They actually show you, they don't just quick do it, so thank you for that suggestion.
That's great.
We'll definitely get on that. Mady, you have a question? Unmute, and you're on.
I think she's still muted.
Hit your space bar.
Unmute? Am I on now?
Now you're on, matey.
Okay, this may be a bit of an aside, but I learned something else new on here. Some very smart person said, you could take a picture of these slides with your phone. So I pulled out my phone and I got the pictures of the slides. Of course, I would like them, in other ways, but I learned something else new today.
Well, and also, Mady, you can take a picture of your emergency kit when you put it together and send it to us all. Also, a reminder that this session is recorded so that you will see the slides again. And I would encourage you, if you wish, send it to your family and friends, because I think the more people that are ready for this, the better. And as Rasheed said, it saves the special responders to do really serious stuff.
So it is okay for us to give this to other people?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh,
yeah, you all have recorded it. This is the property of the Corridor Conversations now.
Yeah, and Carter will have that up for you by next week. Yeah, all of the Carter Conversations are online, and you can certainly move them along, pass them on. There was one, just as a reminder, on scam and fraud too, that if you haven't sent that broadly, you might want to do that. That was also something universal, really.
Now, have you all had anyone on from the cybersecurity with the police department yet?
Well, not with the police department, but a member of our community who worked in cybersecurity. So highlighting particularly seniors as targets of scams, but stuff that was appropriate for everybody. And it wasn't just the usual stuff like don't answer the phone and don't click on that link. It was stuff like what to look for when it looks like it's really from Microsoft.
Yes, ma'am.
That kind of stuff. So yeah, I think we can offer that every semester. And I hadn't thought of it through the police department, but that's a good suggestion.
And I know that the police has a presentation. I'm currently, I had a discussion with the Office of Information Technology here for Prince George's County yesterday. And they are also looking to create a presentation to actually share with the community. So I would definitely keep you notified about that, as well as I'll speak with my contact at Department of Family Services to see about getting someone in contact to share directly with you, Ms. Marianne, so that they can be a asset as well, a resource to the Corridor Conversations group.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, and I did see one question in the chat about the keeping the 3 gallons of water. Yes, 3 gallons of water can be heavy. I wanted to touch on that. Now, they do sell emergency water that comes in bags so that you're not carrying that heavy gallon around. Now, the bags are still a little bit heavy, but they're not as heavy as carrying those big gallons, those plastic gallons of water, those plastic jugs. Now, I would rather have to carry something a little bit heavy than not be hydrated. Because the fact is that this is what it takes to sustain a human is 3 gallons of water, to have that for those 3 days, because you're going to need a gallon per day. They do have emergency water that they sell within bags that you can actually keep, and it has a very long shelf life. It almost comes in like a how many of you have ever gone to the Air and Space Museum and they have space food and so forth? They come in those packs. So the water almost comes in a space food pack where you have to rip it, and it's sealed. No light comes to it or anything of that nature. But it actually has we have a couple of skids in the warehouse now. It has a very long shelf life, but it is not as heavy as carrying those water jugs with the big heavy plastic.
And Rasheed, that brings up a good reminder that don't just take it with you, but remember about a gallon a day for yourself every day. Dehydration, by the time you're thirsty, it's almost too late. So drink that water.
It's also the case that you can get these small bottles of water and just have more of them.
Mm-hmm.
True. But that can be a little heavy too as well.
Maybe if you have something you can wheel it in.
And that's one thing that when I talk about your kits, I want you all to think about a kit. We're packing for a lifeboat. Okay? We are not packing for a cruise. Meaning that you want something that you can grab and go, not something that is packed to the T's for, I want to have 8 different sets and changes of clothes, and we packing for a lifeboat, not the cruise line. We packing to survive. We're not packing to shine on people. We want to just survive. So you want to make sure that kit has the necessities. Okay, it's not something that you're like, oh, I want to make sure. Oh no, I like that hat. I need that hat in here. If that hat isn't actually going to be a use and a resource during this event, then that hat can stay where it's at. If it's going to take up space in that kit and make that kit very heavy, okay? This is a life raft, not an actual. And I have to say that because I know a lot of times, when we start building that kit, you're like, oh, and I want to have this, I want to have belongings that are just keepsakes. Those stay. This kit is to keep you alive. Okay, and you put the items within that kit that will sustain you and your loved ones' lives. All right.
That's great advice, because as one that has her emergency kit 20 years ago, it would be important to try those clothes on again to make sure that 20 years has not taken its toll. Rasheed, do you recommend, I have like shorts and t-shirts, 1 or 2, and then jumpsuit, fleecy things. I mean, you don't know if you're going in summer or winter.
You want to have clothes. You don't want to. That is a good idea. You want to have clothes for both, because you don't know when the disaster may strike. You don't know. It could happen. It could happen in the dead of winter. It could happen in the height of summer. But you want to ensure that you have an alternate change of clothes in that kit. So yes, definitely have something for hot and something for cold.
We just got a question too. Should we always keep our car gassed up to at least half a tank?
It doesn't hurt. And the one reason why I say it doesn't hurt is what was it, 2-3 years ago when they had the snow ice storm that actually hit Texas, and a lot of people were stranded on the road. So, and if they didn't have gas, a lot of them, were left to the elements. Because even though they couldn't drive anymore, but they couldn't keep themselves warm either.
Well, just a reminder that we can't get out of town at rush hour, let alone in the midst of a disaster. I don't know, but
I mean, it's just good to have, because you never know if something happens, and then it could be an event that gas stations aren't available. You know, I mean, again, we have to look at the reality of things and see that the rescue also knocked out a lot of gas pumps where
Yeah.
gas, you know, they're just not available.
Yeah.
And yes, Red Cross is a good resource. I worked there for 10 years. They're great. I learned a lot from working with Red Cross. I would definitely say if you can take any training with them, take that as well. All knowledge is good knowledge in regards to being disaster preparedness. I wouldn't. I still take Red Cross training, and I haven't worked there in over 15 years. If it's available, I sign up. You know, because it's another tool in my toolbox.
Well, and a reminder for those of us that took the CPR courses years ago, CPR is different now. So it's a good reminder. You don't have to do the mouth to mouth.
Well, and so that is so up in the air, Marianne. They do it one day, and then the next year they say they don't.
Yeah.
We offer CPR training here, and within the training, yes, you know one of the things that, and this is I think one of the leading causes why they sort of said you don't have to do the breaths is the fear of exactly of cross contamination. So we provide CPR training here one Saturday out of the month. I do 2 trainings. But even within those trainings, I tell everybody if you do not have a face shield to protect yourself, do not give any breaths. Okay? But to that extent, I provide everyone that completes our training actual keychain face shield and surgical gloves and so forth, so that way, if they do need to perform CPR, they have the supplies to protect themselves to be able to assist somebody else.
Any other questions, comments? The comments are great. Thank you for those.
Yeah, I would just remind people that you can save the chat if you click on the 3 little dots. An option to save chat will pop up, and you may want to grab that to have these links available in a text file.
The 3 little dots at the bottom of our screen that say more?
Oh no! So if you open up the chat window and then
Okay.
top of the chat window next to
I see.
and the pop out, there's 3 little dots.
Great. Thank you. I love the name Bug Out Bag. That's much catchier. The kids would appreciate that. You know, don't get the evacuation bag. Bring the Bug Out Bag.
You would be surprised, Miss Marianne. I've been doing this as long as my children have been born. So they are very accustomed to the Bug Out Bag, I can, just to put it in perspective, my daughter, I remember I had to go out for a hurricane. I forget which hurricane it was that was affecting the county. And my daughter was so small, she was trying to say tornado, and she was like, where's the tomato going, Daddy? So, I mean, I've been in this field before they were born, and I'm still in it. So it's a field that I enjoy. I mean, I feel that we're actually, you know, helping people and actually preparing people in the event. I don't want a disaster to happen, but I definitely want people to know what to do in the event of one happening.
You know, this has been very helpful, but now it's got me worried about disasters.
Well, the one thing is, if we're not worried about it, we aren't thinking to prepare for them.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to get warning. I mean, really, we get, in most cases, pretty much, you know, a day or 2 of warning. Rasheed, you don't want your kids, though. You tell them the Bug Out Bag is not for when they're avoiding curfew.
Oh, no, they know better than that.
It stays on the shelf until it's a real emergency.
Yes, ma'am. Well, actually, they had an emergency. There was a fire at their apartment, actually in the beginning of COVID. And they actually got their mother and got them up out of there. I mean, again, because this is what I've been teaching them since my daughter has the preparedness guides. My youngest has it, and she's read through it in its entirety. So yeah, they got her up. They got their mother up and out that house. So I mean, we suddenly realize how much they're listening to us, but they're listening. You know, it's just if we keep saying it and showing it, they're listening to some extent.
That's comforting. Well, we should let you get back to work.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Let's-
I thank you all very much. I'm getting ready to run back out to the event now. My colleague is out there. He's been out there by himself, so I'm gonna go help him, and we'll close out that event and whew,
Well,
and see
this
what's
was-
next.
This was fabulous. We really appreciate it. And you'll be on the speaking circuit now, as you know. Rochelle, did you have a question?
I thank you all for having me.
I'm not sure if she's coming with a question.
It took me a while to take my mute off. That was a set of hands clapping, not me raising my hand.
Oh,
Thank you
Miss
so
Michelle.
much.
it was terrific, Rasheed.
I
Take
thank you
tomorrow
all.
off.
Thank you very much, Mary.
And Monday too. I'll write you an excuse.
I can thank you. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna let them know.
So it's perfect. And for the rest of you, we're going to quiz you on whether or not you have your little kits to get your bug out bags together. So we'll give you maybe,
Oh, no, you're gonna quiz us.
yeah, maybe not. You'll give you a month. Hopefully, we're right in the heart of hurricane season, so the sooner the better. But this was just perfect. Appreciate it, Rasheed. Thanks very much. And you and I will
Thank
be in
you so
touch on.
much.
Yes, we will. We
Stuff.
definitely will. I thank you all for your time, and you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful Saturday.
Great. Thank you.
All right,
Um,
bye-bye.
I did just throw into
Sorry.
just throw into the chat the link for the county survey. So maybe there is a test. Just, go through that, and hopefully this will make sure that you are well prepared to answer all the questions that are being asked on it.
Now, this is it's an 8-question survey. It's only
Yes,
an
sure.
8-question survey.
Yeah.
We don't ask anything intrusive. The only pertinent information of this personal would be your age range and your zip code. Okay, so and again, this data allows us to pursue additional training to elevate the level of preparedness that we're receiving from the county. And we're actually pulling data from every zip code. So I mean, this is actually aiding us as we move forward as an agency to actually, get our county better prepared in the event of. Okay, so this is a very good survey that is helping guide us. So I implore you all to participate in it because it will actually help us be able to help better the community.
And it only takes 2 minutes, so
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
really simple. And just a reminder, you will have more homework if you wish, because next month on September 27th, we're doing something a little different for us, and it will be, I think at the moment it's titled Ethnic, International, and Family Recipes. And we're going to talk about, with some direction, how food influences culture, influences family, and all of that. And we would love to have you share family recipes. Carter has promised a vegetarian etouffee.
Etouffee
Carter?
or jambalaya, actually.
Or jambalaya, either, yeah. So we'll have recipes to exchange and stuff, but it won't be quite so formal. It'll be much more conversational. So feel free to come and share information. We'll be putting that information out shortly. So, oh, good. Carter just put that in the chat too. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy this gorgeous weather. Go walk in the sand for us, seagulls. Get the sand between your toes.
I don't
Have
go
a
in
good-
the sand, I go in the pool.
Okay.
go in the
You're at the
ocean
beach,
anymore. I'm
baby.
too
Go
old.
to the beach.
I'm
Okay,
going to the
thank you all
pool.
very much. We look forward to seeing you in a month.
All right, good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.